show you my toys.
Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing you another action figure review. Today we're looking at the Mattel Multiverse Signature Collection, the Penguin action figure. This is the Danny DeVito version of Penguin from Batman Returns. I think it's awesome that they're making this guy. He's in, I guess, the third wave of these signature live-action DC figures. The other figure in the wave is Heath Ledger Joker from The Dark Knight. So this truly is a multiverse. Any live-action incarnation can be done, it looks like. They haven't really ever made a 6-inch version of this guy. They made a 4-inch one a few years ago, and that really annoyed me because I don't collect 4-inch figures. So let's check out the packaging here. Here he is, looking pretty big. I believe his jacket is cloth. He's got a hat, some alternate hands, and an umbrella with, it looks like, a blast effect coming out. You can see we've got the guy from the movie on the side here. Signature Collection across the top. On the other side we've got Penguin kind of doing the same thing, and the other side as well. On the bottom we've got the barcode as well as a bunch of credits. On the back side you can see the rest of the wave, being the Joker here, Penguin posed up. Really looking forward to getting this. It was always a disgusting kind of version in the film. And you may have noticed I have two of these guys here. One's going to be open, one's going to be unopened. So, let's check this guy out. You may have noticed that I got two of these figures. One of them is obviously going to be opened, and one of them is going to stay in my complete, unopened Batman and related Multiverse collection. Here he is, taking his rightful place in front of my comic collection with the other recent releases. Here's my entire Bat-related Multiverse collection in the newer blue packaging. You can see on the top shelf there we've got all three of the Signature Collection. Really excited for the next ones. And then we got some other Batman related, saving a little bit of room for future releases. Now you may look at the bottom shelf and wonder why I have Superman, Martian Manhunter, and Jessica Cruz in my Batman unopened collection. It's because each of them has a piece of Clayface in there, so they have the rightful place in my Batman and related unopened collection. Alright, well, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all of his accessories laid out, and these signature figures do come with quite a bit. He has this pretty elaborate display stand over here. He also comes with an umbrella with a blast accessory, a top hat, as well as two different interchangeable hands, totaling 4 different hands. But before we look at his accessories, let's take a look at the actual figure. This is the first time we've ever received a 6-inch scale Danny DeVito Penguin from Batman Returns. I believe Mattel made a 4-inch version of their Multiverse line a couple years ago, and that disappointed me greatly. This guy here, he's not perfect, but I think he looks really, really cool, especially for the $20 price point. Look at the dark around his eyes, the long nose, the sinister grin, the sort of bald, ratty hair he's got going on. He's got a cloth, soft goods jacket. And something really cool about that, if you were to remove the jacket, his sleeves are not dark like it would be with a hard plastic jacket, so I think he's going to work with the jacket off, posing that way as well. You can see his sort of tie type thing. He's got a vest on, a white shirt underneath, a lot cleaner than I remember being in the movie. Of course, he's fat, disgusting, just like the movie. He's got his flipper hands, which is so cool. Even back in the day when they made action figures for Batman Returns, Penguin never looked like this. They were too afraid to scare the kiddies. His feet, his knees, liking everything so far. Really, really nice looking guy. Excited to compare him with the NECA Keaton Batman. And then here's a figure broken down as far as he can go with all of his removable parts detached. Next, let's check out this guy's accessories, starting with his display stand. So his display stand is pretty nice and impressive, and coming from a guy like me who really doesn't like action figure stands, that's a pretty bold statement. So as you can see, here's the main piece. The front says the Penguin, the top shows the DC logo, and it has 6 of these holes in it. What are they for? There are these little pegs that go into his feet. They're removable. You can pick where you want the guy to stand. Put it in here. You could have one for just one foot. You could have more than one to support both his feet. This will add durability and stability to your action figure as he is on display. It does come with a bag full of these things, so if you wanted to fill up all these holes, you sure could do that. Next, there's a rather large hole in the back. If you don't want to utilize it, it does have sort of a plug for it. Put it in here, kind of covers it up, comes out very easy. This part here is for the back that will support your figure. Has a sort of two-part stand here. This is not exactly what I would call transparent. It's kind of like a flight stand. It'll fit into the back of the stand piece here. Penguin does have a hole in the back of him that this peg here can go into. Can allow him to stand up straight. Can allow him to probably do flying, posing, kicking positions, which he should never really be into as it is anyway. So we've got this cardboard piece in the back. You can see Danny DeVito, Penguin, the Batman Returns logo. Simply fits into the back of the stand pretty easily. So if you wanted to have this on the shelf like so, you could show your Penguin figure, allow him to stand with complete ease. Now, one of the coolest features about this stand is it can open up. It allows you to put all of your action figure accessories in here. So you could take the bag full of pegs, put it in here, the little plug stopper, put it in there. You could take all of his individual accessories, put them inside of there, shut it, and then you have no risk of losing them, especially the small pieces. I personally think it's really, really cool. A great way to store your stuff, and it's convenient. Next, let's check out the accessories that are specific to the Penguin character himself. He does have 4 hands, an umbrella, a blast accessory, a top hat, and a jacket. Let's start off by looking at the hands. So he does come with a total of 4 hands. 2 of them that are completely open, and you can totally see his flippers there. And then 2 of them that can hold weapons. This will be good for his umbrella, but you can't see the flippers much. Really enjoying these front 2 hands here. Here he is wearing his 2 open hands. Like I said before, these are my favorite because you can really see the flippers. They look disgusting, kind of like the movie. Cool, gross, have that sort of slick glove look to them. And then as you can see, here he is holding his open hands. This should be good for holding and supporting his umbrella. And then here he is next to the DC Collectibles Batman the Animated Series Penguin. This is the only 6 and 7 inch Penguin I can think of that actually has the flipper-like hands. As you can see here, he doesn't have any gloves on, but his hands are grotesque looking, just like the Danny DeVito Penguin. Batman the Animated Series took a lot of inspiration from the Burton films. Next, let's take a look at his jacket. It is made out of cloth, soft goods material. As you can see, it just sort of fits on top of him. One thing I thought was pretty cool is he actually has his sleeves painted the right color, so he can actually be portrayed with his jacket off, sort of casual, doing mayor stuff in the office. I do enjoy that. And then here he is with his jacket on. I didn't even have to remove his hands to put the jacket on. They slid down the sleeves with ease. But even if I did have to remove the hands, it wouldn't be a big deal. When switching his hands in and out, the peg was very comfortable, very smooth. They came out with complete ease. Felt like nothing was even close to breaking. So as you slip his hands through, just make sure you pull his hair and tuck it on top of his jacket. Overall, give this guy a pretty nice look. Next, let's take a look at his hat. He wore this hat quite a bit when he was playing the Mayor of Gotham in Batman Returns, Mayor Cobblepot. Pretty basic. One piece of plastic, hollow in the middle, has a little stripe along the tip of it, and you can tell this always goes on the certain side, so you know which face is facing front or back. And then here's a figure wearing his hat. In my opinion, this figure is not complete without his hat and jacket, and looks pretty good with them. So he looks pretty good with his hat on. One thing it would have really benefited from would be a magnet on the inside to keep it stuck to his head. As is right now, this thing falls off completely with ease. I know it's just a $20 toy, but I wish it would be able to stay on a little better than that. But all things considered, he does look pretty good with that hat on. And you can kind of make this figure take his hat off and respectfully bow towards somebody. Definitely not something the Danny DeVito Penguin from Batman Returns would do, though. And then here is the Multiverse hat compared with another removable Penguin hat. This is from the DC Direct or DC Collectibles Arkham City Penguin. Pretty similar looking hat. Next, let's check out his umbrella with detachable blast accessory piece. Now, a lot of Penguins come with umbrellas, no real shocker here. This thing is made of some sort of softer plastic and fits in his hand pretty nicely. You can see here it's got a hole in the front where you can insert said blast accessory, and it has the tip of the umbrella on the outside. And here he is firing off a shot, and you know what? It does look pretty good. And then here he is walking down the street, holding his umbrella, kind of using it as a cane, looking pretty normal. And then how quickly he goes from looking normal to getting angry and firing his umbrella at somebody. Now you are not going to be able to use his left hand to support his umbrella unless you want to twist it around like so. Frankly, I don't think this looks good at all. This is really how far close he can do to support it like that. His arms just simply don't bend that way. And here is the Multiverse umbrella compared with all the different closed umbrellas in my action figure collection. Sure, the majority came with Penguin, but not all of them. I got some from Galahad. And then you can see these sort of cocktail enhancers. Got a barrel full of these that sit in the back of the Penguin base. And then here is this DeVito Penguins umbrella next to all of my open umbrellas in my action figure collection. My action figure Penguin has got quite an arsenal at this point. And then here is the other side of each of the open umbrellas. Like I said, Penguin has plenty of weapons to choose from. One thing it would have been nice for this Penguin to come with would have been some kind of a rubber ducky. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but in the film he had a giant rubber ducky vehicle that operated in the sewers. The Penguin's love for rubber duckies sort of bled into Batman the Animated Series as he used the same kind of vehicle. This little rubber ducky accessory, I think, came with the Yamato Penguin figure from many years ago. So I had read a post online at the Fwoosh forums, shout out to the Fwoosh, that there was this Roblox rubber ducky vehicle that might be cool to have with this guy. So I went ahead and got to Amazon. I found this thing for pretty cheap. I think it was like $13 shipped. Doesn't seem to be quite that cheap anymore. And when I got it in hand, I was like, oh crap, why did I buy this? Look how small the seats are. So I took all the seats, they come right out. It still doesn't really work for this guy. Look how small that steering wheel is. But you know what? I think it's going to be a really cool background piece in my Penguin base. And this Penguin, I mean, if you really want to stretch it, yes, he can sort of sit in there by himself. And you know what? I'm happy to have this. And speaking of completely out of scale Penguin vehicles, here he is next to his umbrella jet. This was from the Kenner Batman Returns action figure line. Completely not movie accurate. This DeVito Penguin will definitely not fit in there, but still a cool thing to have. Usually sits on the roof near my Penguin base. Another accessory I think that would have been really cool for him to come with would have been just a little fish. A little small plastic fish for him to hold in his hand. Maybe it's too gruesome for some people. In the film, Max Schreck lured him out of his sort of attic lair with a raw fish, and Penguin had eaten the majority of it before he came to the bottom of the stairs. Now that we've taken a very in-depth look at his accessories, next let's check out the height of this figure. This is a Mattel Multiverse figure. They usually run around 6.5 or so inches tall, but of course this Penguin is shorter than an average person. So with his top hat on, looks like he's sitting at just under 6.5 inches. Then if you remove his hat, he's sitting at about 5.5, maybe just a hair above that inches. Next, let's check out this figure's articulation. So I took off his jacket for this so you could see as much as we could. First of all, his head. Yes, it can go around. You can look down and up. You know, not too bad, especially down. His arms, they go out just about 90 degrees. They do have a ball joint in there. Kind of do whatever you want with those. Single jointed elbows go out about 90 degrees like so. They do have a swivel up here as well. Then his wrist, of course, it can go around and it's hinged. Pretty cool. No ab crunch. You can kind of see under this thing. It's really solid plastic here, but he does have a nice joint inside of here. Ball joint gives him a good range of motion. He can tilt from side to side, he can twist around, and he can go up and down, up and down. His legs go out about that far, not quite 90 degrees. There is a sort of thigh cut right here. His legs can go up that far, which is more than I expected. Back, really not at all, but pretty decent. He could actually achieve some sitting poses. Single joint knees don't go very far. It's about all you're going to get out of them. They do have a swivel on the top part as well. And his foot go around, up and down, and you know what? It does tilt quite a bit as well. Nice job on that, Mattel. Next, let's show this guy compared to a bunch of other different action figures. Starting off with the Multiverse Signature figures, looking at a bunch of different other Penguin action figures, and then comparing him to a bunch of different Batman figures so you can see which ones he fits in both scale and style-wise with. Now here he is next to the other figure from this wave. This is the Dark Knight Heath Ledger Joker figure. Pretty cool to have a Burton Penguin and a Nolan Joker next to each other in scale from two totally different live-action universes. And then here he is next to all the different Multiverse Signature figures that they've released so far. As Mattel is getting ready to lose the DC license, we know we aren't going to see too many more of these. I've personally thought this line was great. Quite a pleasure to start putting together. We've got the Batman Forever, Val Kilmer, Batman. We've got the Wesley Shipp Flash from the old TV show. We've got the Linda Carter Wonder Woman from the old TV show. Then we've got Danny DeVito Penguin from Batman Returns, as well as Heath Ledger Joker from The Dark Knight. Pretty much all these are from different universes of live action heroes. Batman Forever Batman and Danny DeVito Penguin are kind of from the same universe. The Burton films are all four of them are in the same universe. Just pretty cool. There's been rumors that we're going to get a George Clooney Batman or Chris O'Donnell Robin, and that would be great. This line would have been awesome if it just kept going. I could see a lot of cool stuff being put out here. And then here he is next to two other versions, live action Penguin. On the left, we've got the 1966 Penguin from the TV show and film. And on the far right, we've got the Gotham TV show Penguin. These may actually be every single version of a live-action Penguin that's been on TV. Pretty cool. Talk about a multiverse. Next, let's check them out versus all the 6 and 7-inch Penguin figures that I have in my collection. And we'll do it by different brands. This here is a Kenner Penguin figure. This is from the Legends of the Dark Knight line. Kenner really only made 5-inch figures, but they made this Legends of the Dark Knight line. It was a 6-inch line. Not too many toy companies were doing that. It was kind of newish back then. Here he is next to a Yamato Penguin. This is a Japanese import. They're almost statue-ish. They have very, very little articulation. I do like him in his white suit, and I believe he came with some pretty cool accessories, if I recall correctly. Here he is next to his Mattel Penguin Brothers. These guys are, I believe, all the figures that Mattel made of Penguin in this scale. These are from various lines like DC Universe Classics, the first one. The second one, I believe, was from Batman Legacy. The third one is obviously the Multiverse Signature. And the last one would be from the Batman 1966 line. Here he is next to all the DC Direct and DC Collectibles Penguin figures that I have. I'm definitely missing a couple DC Direct versions. You may notice there are 2 Arkham City Penguins. There's a slight paint variation released later in a 2-pack with Mr. Sickle. And then here he is next to both the Penguin figures from Diamond Select Toys. I believe the one on the right was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, bloody beat-up version. And then here he is next to each of the different Penguin figures that I have in my collection. And then here he is next to a bunch of actual Penguins. I got 4 of the 2-packs from Batman Returns for really cheap online many, many years ago. The closest thing to Penguin Thugs they've actually ever officially released. And I got a bunch of other Penguins that are in the right scale that kind of work with his large army of Penguins. Now here he is next to a couple of his henchmen, the Kabuki twins. Now you might be asking me, who the hell are the Kabuki twins? Although I'm not really sure the source material this action figure is from. In the cartoon The Batman, the Penguin in that show always had 2 Asian henchmen that had masks kind of similar to this and used blades and were experienced ninjas in fighting the Batman. In my experience, the Penguin, whether it be in the comics or certain shows, always kind of uses attractive women as his henchmen. I've always thought it was kind of cool. He's a really ugly, disgusting person surrounding himself with attractive women. When I first purchased these figures, I got 2 of the standard edition right here. I remember them being pretty cheap on eBay. They're not articulated very well, but they do look the part for Penguin. Sort of a comic book accurate version of the Batman cartoon Kabuki twins. And then I found out there are more variations and I had to get them. I'm not sure exactly what this one would be called, and there's also a bloodied up version over here. All of them came with pretty cool accessories and a removable mask. And then here he is next to Mr. Sickle. This is a character from the Arkham City video game. This was the only true human Penguin henchman they've ever actually released. This guy's a Siamese twin. He was one of the Abramovich twins. Mr. Hammer, his brother, was the other side, and they were separated at one point during their life. Notice that he has gray and black camo pants. That was sort of the look that the Penguin Thugs had in Arkham City. I always wish that they were going to release a generic 1 or 2 Penguin Thugs from that game, but of course they never did. And then here he is next to his brother. This is Mr. Hammer and Mr. Sickle. These guys are brothers. They were separated at one point. The funny thing is, in the game, they were working for opposite teams. Mr. Hammer was obviously for the Joker camp, and Mr. Sickle was for the Penguin Army, and they were warring against each other in the middle of Arkham City. And then here he is next to all the different figures that function as Penguin Thugs in my action figure world. These are all sort of Arkham City styled thugs and henchmen that work for the Penguin. Next, let's check them out to some various different kinds of Batman figures. And since this is the first one, I was really eager to check them out next to. Let's go ahead and start with the larger lines of Batman figures and work our way to smaller. This is a NECA 1989 Michael Keaton Batman figure. This is one of my favorite Batman figures, definitely in the top 5. He's a little bit of a different scale than the Batman Returns Penguin. NECA figures are 7 inches, whereas the Multiverse are more like 6.5 inches. This is, of course, the most appropriate Batman to fight this Dane DeVito Penguin. And even though they're a different scale, the Penguin is a very short guy in Batman Returns, so it works out pretty good. Now, technically, this is not the Batman Returns suit. This is the Batman 1989 suit, which is very similar to the Batman Returns suit. Really wish NECA did a 7-inch Batman Returns Batman. I know they would have if they could have kept going with these 7-inch figures, but I think there was some legality issues with DC. Anyway, these guys look pretty cool together. Nice Burton figures. And then here he is next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles Batman figures. These guys are a slightly larger scale than the Mattel Multiverse figures. But you know what? This Penguin pretty much works out with almost any 6 and 7-inch figure. Almost the bigger they are, the better it works out for him. This is a great figure if you're mixing scales. And then here he is next to some Mezco 1/12 soft cloth goods Batman figures. And then here he has next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse Batman figures. And then here he has next to some Mafex Batman action figures. And then here he has next to some SH Figure Arts Batman figures. So all in all, I'm going to say I really like this Penguin figure. I think I like him more than I should. He does have some problems. He is fairly basic as far as his sculpt and paint job goes. But I really am happy to finally get a Danny DeVito Penguin from Batman Returns. Not even my default version of Penguin, not even my second default version of Penguin, but a version that I find visually pleasing, even though I didn't actually find his origins or on-screen presence comic accurate. Now, if I were to rate this figure, I'd give him probably a 7.5 out of 10, and that is due to my own personal enjoyment of this figure. I would not rate the actual figure as far as action figure execution at 7.5 out of 10, but this is a really nice figure. I like the way he looks. I like the way he moves, even though it is limited. I like a lot of things about this guy. So this is D Hunter. If you like this video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.